What is it that makes John Travolta so charismatic? What's his secret to look so confident, so cool? Well, today we're gonna analyze two clips from the movie appropriately named Be Cool, and we're gonna study John Travolta and how he acts and look to appear so confident and charismatic, and how we can use it to learn to be more charismatic ourselves. Let's watch the first one.
Hey, Chill, is that your car?
Yeah, it's an Insight. It's the Cadillac of hybrids.
It's a little tight for a big guy like you.
Small price to pay for the environment. 57 miles to the gallon.
But what about speed?
No, Mark. If you're important, people will wait.
Just one shot, Marty. One smile for me. Come on.
If you're important, people will wait. I love that phrase. So I wanted to start with this clip so we can really think about what he says for a moment. John Travolta is a very charismatic actor. We can tell he has this aura about him. Now, he's very different from somebody like Tom Cruise or George Clooney. He's very aloof, very relaxed. But his charisma comes from the fact that he believes that he's important and people will wait for him. So he does everything slower, more relaxed. People can feel it. So they take him as an important person. I mean, that phrase really portrays how he feels and how he acts. And as a charismatic person, you have to believe this. That if you're important, people will wait for you. And you are important. Charismatic people believe, they know they are important. So there is no reason for them to hurry. And you will often see charismatic people, when you study them, they do everything slower. They walk slower. They look to different direction slower. They're not in a rush because they know that where they're at is the most important place to be. They are the most important person. They're not rushing to meet somebody or rushing to meet a deadline. And you need to convince yourself of that. Let's watch another clip that really shows this about John Travolta. Now you saw that John Travolta here is rushing to get undercover, and it makes sense because you're charismatic doesn't mean you would never have to rush. But those situations do not come very often. You're not very often under fire or under danger of death. So we have a tendency to hurry too often. And charismatic people do not make that mistake. They only hurry when it is truly necessary. And that is what makes them charismatic. Often you will see them face danger because they're able to measure the risk and they can tell that there's no danger there when most people would be cowering and running. I mean, you see this. I mean, this is very charismatic. The guy is done shooting, so he comes out to analyze the situation. But he's not in a hurry. He is the regular John Travolta. He does not feel that danger. He's just coming to see. And this is very typical of a charismatic person. They're in a situation where most people would not be able to act normally, but they keep their cool. Charismatic people are very charismatic because often they are able to keep their cool in the face of danger. The guy just pointed a gun at him. But what does John Travolta do? He lighted up a cigarette like he would always do. And this is very good for a charisma. If you always do things the same way, if you take the same amount of time to make the action right, your brain will be able to tell that you're congruent. You know, if you lighting up cigarette takes a couple of actions, you have to look at your cigarettes and light it up, and you always do that, then your brain can tell you're going to do that action right, and people will be able to tell that you will do the right thing when it needs to be done. Somebody who's not charismatic is going to rush it. They're going to be looking at the guy who has the gun trembling, and they're not going to be able to light that cigarette because they're not doing it the same way they're supposed to do it. To light the cigarette, you need to look at it. And this is what John Travolta is showing here. You know what? Whether there's somebody pointing a gun at my head, whether there's an asteroid flying from the sky, I can light my cigarette no problem. I do not lose my cool. Do not hurry if you want to be charismatic. Look at this. I mean, he could tell. He could tell there was no bullet. And that's also what makes charismatic people charismatic. Often they're able to ascertain a danger, whether it is there and is not. And you will often see this in movie. A charismatic guy goes to a gun because he knows it's empty. And the bad guy doesn't know it, so he can face him. But look at that look. You know, looking people in the eyes is a very important part of being charismatic. You're challenging people. You're telling them, I'm not afraid of you. And that's what he does. He lights a cigarette, and then he looks at him. You know, lighting a cigarette was even more important than looking at him, even though he had a gun. That's how important, that's how irrelevant that guy is to John Travolta. If you enjoyed this video, please share and subscribe. It really helps me when you do that, and I will see you in the next video.